Welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about dementia change. We will.
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm thrilled you could join us today. We are going to have a really fun conversation with two powerhouses in the industry of dementia who have created a new product that I think is going to be just fabulous for so many families, as well as communities and like day services, home care, etc. But before I introduce you to our guests, I always kind of like to just do a basic welcome. So first of all, for those of you that are new to our show, Alzheimer's Speaks is about sound information, not just sound bites. My own mother lived with the disease for 30 years, so I get the frustration. How do you find services, products, and tools? Where do you find people that you can trust? And that's what Alzheimer's Speaks is all about. And here we talk with people all around the world at all levels, from those diagnosed to researchers and everything in between. So maybe, just maybe, you can be our next guest. Feel free to reach out to me at radio@alzheimersspeaks.com. Now, if you liked our opening music, that is a song called Clarion Call by the Mark Arneson Band, and you can download that on any of your favorite music platforms. I do want to just remind people that we have recently updated the alzheimersspeaks.com site. So please go check that out. There is one page that is all free resources, from tools to the radio show to accessing dementia chats, to learning about how to build a dementia-friendly community, memory cafes, poetry and articles, dementia and the arts, and so much more. So please go check out alzheimersspeaks.com. You also might want to check out Saltbox TV. If you haven't heard about them, they are a fabulous resource. It's a free online streaming service, kind of like a Netflix, except it was specifically designed for seniors. And not only does it have like old movies and TV programs, but there's a lot of health and wellness programs on there as well. Now, if you're looking for, let's say, some support groups, I do offer two. One is the second and fourth Wednesday of each month that is sponsored by Arthur's Senior Living, and that is virtually anybody in the world can participate. And that starts at 1 p.m. Central Time. And then the other one is on the fourth Wednesday of the month. And that is starts at 10 o'clock Central. That's in Shoreview, Minnesota at the Community Center. And that one is sponsored by Brookdale North Oaks. And that is not only for a care partner, but for the person living with dementia. There's a little respite care with a music therapist and activities director and things there. September 20th, Artis Senior Living is sponsoring a program I do called Realities of Dementia, Family-Friendly Tips and Tools. And this will be at 6:30 Eastern Time. All of these are free, so feel free to sign up for any of these. And then on October 31st, I have a public event as well where we are going to be screening the film A Timeless Love in Minnetonka, Minnesota, sponsored by the Minnetonka Dementia Friendly Community there. We're going to hear from the Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner. They're going to talk about the footbar walker, and we're going to introduce you to our guests when we come right back.
I love the footbar walker, and let me tell you why. It is the option for my toolbox that I've been waiting for. Let's be honest, there are some clients who, despite our best rehab efforts, just aren't able to return to performing a sit-to-stand transfer on their own. Now I can offer my caregivers an easier, safer option that doesn't involve hoisting their loved one up from a sitting position. I don't recommend this walker for all of my clients, but I do recommend this walker for those caregivers looking for an easier, safer option with transfers. I would also encourage other therapists to add this walker to their toolbox. It's kind of like having my own mobile parallel bars for the client to pull up on. Whether it's a family caregiver at home helping a loved one with Parkinson's or dementia, CNAs in a long-term care facility assisting their patients, or therapists adapting to client and caregiver specific needs, we now have a very safe and effective option to offer in the Footbar Walker. Check this product out at thefootbarwalker.com. That's it for today from Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner. Have a great day, and don't forget, if you can't do it, adapt it.
Okay, so it's time to introduce you to our guest. Today we're going to be talking about helping you make creative, conscious connections with those living with dementia. And we are going to be talking with Mandy Shoemaker and Michaela Gibson, who are the co-founders of Connectivities and also Prairie Elder Care. They have also written a book together and are the co-authors of Now is Found. Both of these ladies are thought leaders in the dementia industry, and I promise you we are going to have a wonderful, wonderful conversation. So ladies, I'm so excited to have you with us today. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy, busy schedules. As I said in the introduction, you two are really some great thought leaders in the industry of dementia. And I love talking with people with new ideas and the energy to put them forth. So again, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
We're glad to be here.
I am thrilled to have you back. They were on when they were talking about their other company, and now they are kicking off a brand new business called Connectivities, which I had the pleasure of actually being able to kind of test and play with. And I was almost dumbfounded with the thought that they put into this and how simple they made everything for people to engage. So I'm really excited to have this show to raise your profile. But before we get into questions about the company, I always like to ask everybody, just so our audience has a base, if you have been personally touched by dementia in your own family or circle of friends. And so, Mandy, I'm going to throw that to you first, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, I'll be able to sort of answer it for both of us. Within our family,
we're sister-in-laws. So
yes. So Michaela is married to my brother. And we started Prairie Elder Care 8 years ago. And that was just after my dad was diagnosed with MCI, mild cognitive impairment. And so that has definitely played into our vision as we have really, I think, put that into action and wanted kind of been a driver for us to ensure that we were really delivering what we promised.
And what I loved with that company that you have is it was different. It really stood out. It was very connective and engagement oriented, not just within your community, but the larger community as a whole.
Absolutely. COVID had a little bit of an impact on that.
Right. Changed everything. But so we still have our 2 group homes for people living with dementia and are building a 3rd. And then, so we developed our engagement model over the years, and community connection and control is our mission and vision, to give that back to people living with dementia and their loved ones. And so Connectivities is kind of the logical next step to bring those connections that we're able to make in our homes to more people.
I love that. Mandy, do you want to give us a little more expanded thought about what is Connectivities?
Yeah, you bet. So Connectivities is actually where if people also are engaging with a positive approach to care, and they know Teepa Snow, she has said it is engagement in a box. Mm-hmm. And so, and that's what we're going for. So Connectivities is a box of activities. You can buy an individual box or a subscription. You save a little bit of money if you subscribe. A monthly subscription is $62.99, including shipping. And there are 8 activities in the box. It's about this size of a box. And in each box are 8 activities. Each activity has been trialed at Prairie Elder Care. So it has been successfully completed with people at a range of stages in the disease process. And so we work really, really hard. I loved that you said we've made it really simple, because that's what we're going for. And exactly. And I think you'd find, you got the July box. I think you'd find the September box like multiple times more user friendly. I mean, we're learning every day.
That's hard to believe that it could be more user. I'm being honest.
Yeah,
because
I love that.
Yeah,
and we do everything in house, so we can, so we're pretty nimble in terms of being able to respond to feedback and just as we work to engage. So anyway, there's 8 activities in each box. And you get every single thing you need to complete each of those activities. There are printed instructions for each activity, gives a little overview, and then we talk about differentiation. So if an activity is too easy, we give some ideas for making it a little more challenging. And if it's too hard, we give some ideas for maybe a different approach or a different extension or a way to change it up to make it a little bit easier. We also work closely with an occupational therapist, and she helps us develop therapy goals for each activity. So we are always looking at making sure that we cover a range of skills and just interests and everything. So we're always looking at different cognitive, physical, social, emotional, and sensory activities, and then specific skills within each one. The other thing that is really unique to Connectivities is with each activity, when you scan the QR code, it pulls up a whole special web page of instructional supports and videos that tell you step by step how to do each activity. So if you're not a technological person, that's okay. You can just use the paper. But if you do feel comfortable with technology, there's really a lot of other support out there as well.
Which I thought was amazing to have that video, because some people are visual learners, and so it's nice to see all of that. I tested this with my grandkids, and they were like tickled pink. They're like, "Oh, Grandma, look at the itty bitty glue bottle!" And they were just fascinated with everything, and the drumsticks and every project that they did. I mean, they were just beaming. So. Part of what I like about what you're doing is this can be an intergenerational piece too, and just a nice way for families to connect on a lot of different levels, or within a community too, to do family events as well would be really nice. I was very impressed too. A lot of kits, they'll come and they'll have pretty much everything there, or they'll give you a list to go buy so you can go do it, those types of things. But having that additional support, and then having that summary of the therapeutic benefits, because I think so often we just don't think about those things. And that, to me, puts everything in a different light for a care partner. I mean, it's really educating in a really easy, simple fashion to go, wow, I didn't really think about that before, Right.
And we can have fun and connect together while we're working on maintaining some critical skills.
Exactly. Well, and the empowerment too of people, finishing a product, and again, being able to adapt it to those different levels was really a smart piece there. Now, Michaela, how did this whole idea start for Connectivities? There's always usually one little thing that you're kind of going, hey, I think it's time. We got to do something.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm a registered nurse and have been in healthcare literally since I was 15. My first job was as a CNA in my small town. So, and even 30 years ago, engagement, we called it I don't know what we called it back then, but it was a challenge. And 30 years later, it still is hard to switch gears from that task, completing a task, to how do we have something meaningful for individuals. And so when Mandy and I started Prairie Elder Care 8 years ago, we pretty much lived in the first house, and even with the two of us there all the time, engagement is hard, and so when you're working hard to be like, okay, now what are we going to do that's engaging and
fun, that's going to make everybody laugh, and
and so then fast forward to COVID, and all of our our group homes that we currently have are on a farmstead, and so you don't get to goats and pigs and chickens without being a little creative, I think, and kind of what we have built there.
Thinking outside the box.
Yeah. So, in the worst part of COVID for us, as far as staffing crisis, was last summer and fall. And Mandy and I were both working several shifts a week. And, we were struggling to think of ways to engage the residents. And so if we're struggling and we're the creative ones, that's what drives us, that's what our passion is, how is anybody else going to do that? So we started with a basket on the island in the kitchen that just had coloring books and, word searches and just things that were easy to grab and go. And that worked really well. So I'm like, okay, well, let's take it the next step and let's put everything in an activity in a Ziploc and see, we kind of saw how that went. And that went better than I thought it was going to. And so I remember calling Mandy when I was leaving from a shift and being like, I think I have an idea. I think there's something there beyond just helping us get through this crisis that we were in the middle of. And I think healthcare is changing, to put it mildly. I think healthcare is changing. I think the shortage of caregivers is going to continue. And so finding ways to meet those needs for engagement, this is the perfect time.
Yeah, and I think we see from both perspectives, people staying at home longer because of the staffing shortage and because just of fear with COVID and
cost.
And cost. I mean, cost is, at Prairie Elder Care, we're having to increase our costs because we're paying our staff 30% more. And so people are staying at home longer. And so we have our family box, and then we also have a box for groups, for senior living, community living settings. And so that makes it super easy for staff. They don't have to be activity staff. They can be anybody. It could be a volunteer, and they can pick up one of these bags and know exactly what to do and have a great activity.
Or like you mentioned, a grandchild, or, somebody that may struggle with, how do I interact with my grandma? I don't know what to say, and it just helps. It creates a topic and a shared experience. So
that's not just maybe the same conversation over and over. It makes quality time that you can have together during this challenging journey.
Well, and what I like too with the family boxes, you do have them bagged. You've got the directions for each one. Those can be, they're grab and go. So if you're going on a picnic and you're going to have some dead time, but you want something to do while you're sitting outside, you can bring that with. Or, if you're going over to visit grandma and you want to have control over those things versus just leaving them, if she's in a community or even living alone, depending on, where it's at, you've really simplified how it can be used. And then for communities, my daughter was a life enrichment or activities director, whatever the heck you want to call them. And I still to this day don't think most companies have a clue how much time they spend trying to plan, trying to purchase, trying to organize, then try to rally up the groups that usually other staff are supposed to bring to them.
Right.
And then
support one person back and forth.
And then doing the activity and then cleaning up and getting everyone back. I mean, and I've heard this from so many life enrichment directors, people don't understand how much time it takes to pull all of this stuff together.
Absolutely.
And so in an era of staff shortage right now, I mean, you really have to work smart. And when you're looking at what a box is going to cost them versus staff time, I mean, to me, there's no contest in that. And, again, you've made it so simple. And it doesn't take up a lot of space. It doesn't, it's just, and there's flexibility in when you can do things, within it. Now, are all the monthly packages, are they seasonal to a point? I know the one that we got for July, it was a lot of 4th of July stuff and everybody, really enjoyed that. Is every month seasonally packaged?
Every month has a theme. So it's, that September is going to be back to school. And then October will be fall celebrations. So there is a theme around it.
Yeah. So, and like Thanksgiving in November, we'll be focusing on family. So we try to come up with something that can create common experiences for everyone. So it's a thread that we can use throughout to facilitate conversations. Each of the activities has language extensions and like when for this one in particular, they build a little campfire, but the campfire is really just a prop for what happens after you build it. And the instructions include some campfire stories and talking about, did you go to camp? Did you, were there stories or songs that you sang around a campfire? So it's the theme just really gives us that cohesion and a jumping off point.
Now, one of the things that when you said songs, it made me think in part of your resources, you have a music therapist that does some, and that's of huge value for people too. And those are things that, you don't have to just use one time. I mean, you can use those multiple times. And
yes,
so,
absolutely.
That's a huge added value. Or if someone doesn't really like to sing, when you've got that lead person, sometimes it's a little bit easier to go through it. Like I'm one of those people. I'm not a singer. I can maybe lift the words and stuff.
I'm a dancer. I'm not a singer. I'm a dancer.
Yeah. So, but it just helps modify the situation and make it adaptable. So you don't have to have a certain skill set. Like you had said earlier, a volunteer can step in and do this, or these could be activities even for families who visit to be able to just pull out and do as well. I mean, it's kind of endless in terms of how these can be used, or, even home health care for their visits, or
absolutely
people in hospice care, even, there's just so many different levels. I'd love to be able to see some of this stuff even in hospitals. People just get lost and they feel disconnected
Right.
I think we need to have you take it on the road for us, Lori.
Yeah. There really is just so many opportunities, or senior centers as well, for activities and things.
Oh yeah.
I think people look at something like this and go, oh, that's easy, I can pull that together. And then it's on your list, and it's on your list, and it's on your list, and it's on your list, but you never get to it because it keeps getting pushed down with everything else because everybody is short staffed, right. Or you don't have the money in the budget. And when you're packaging stuff at a bigger level, it's much more reasonable. Now, one of the things that we didn't mention was, or maybe you did, and I get so excited I forgot, was how many activities are in like a family box? And I should know that.
There's 8 activities in the family box. So and actually usually there's more than 8. It's just sort of a minimum of 8. So so there's always at least 8 activities. In the August box, we ended up making a few extra games to go along with it. So sometimes, and today we were just kind of finalizing our September. I mean, it's finalized, but we have some materials left over from some of our July activities that we're going to throw in to add into the September box. So there will be an extra activity there.
Oh, that's nice. So, I mean, you're talking a cup of coffee and activity. I mean, it's pretty minute.
Right, literally.
Absolutely. And just
depending on where you get your coffee.
Yeah.
So.
Foo here. Yeah.
Right, exactly. If you're like us and like your Starbucks or whatever.
Caribou.
Nice. Yeah. And so, and I think kind of like what you had said before, just all the work that goes beyond, goes on behind the scenes, that these have all been tried and have worked. And we use the instructions with our staff at Prairie Elder Care to make sure that they can follow them. And we get feedback from the staff and from the residents. So, they're already really kind of tried and true. We want it to be as fail-proof as possible.
Well, that's nice. Like I said, I'm a raving fan, as the listeners can probably see, but like I said, I was so wildly surprised at the diversity, the ease, the packaging, the flexibility, the multiple ways that this tool can be used. And, and I thought it was very cost effective for what you get and the quality that you get with it as well. Now, Michaela, why would someone subscribe over, I know I've kind of pointed out a lot of things and I probably shouldn't have, I should have let you do it, but I can't rein in my excitement for what you guys do. But are there some other things that you want to add in terms of, why either a family or a business would want to subscribe to Connectivities?
Sure. One question that we had recently was, why wouldn't I just go to Hobby Lobby and get stuff to do a craft? And so that says to me that they don't really get what Connectivities is. Connectivities is not about the end product. It's not about having a perfect centerpiece for your table or wreath for your front door.
Or something to hang in the window or on the wall.
Connectivities is about the process, not the end product. And it's about the meaningful connections that can happen and the problem solving, all the things that go along with it, along with those meaningful connections. So I think along with the convenience and the time saving and the fact that we do test, everything's tried and true. We do test everything, but it also, there's experts behind all of the planning.
Absolutely. One of our goals too is, to give you just the right amount of stuff so that you don't have a lot of leftover. And so, we order things in bulk. And I think that just the economical side of things. The other thing is that we've really worked hard to give a wide range of activities in each box. So I think that goes a long way as well.
Right. So there's 8 activities in an individual or group box, and some of them can be done over and over again. Some of them you probably wouldn't use multiple times, but something that is lacking in senior living and just when you're at home with your loved one is just some variety and spontaneity. And so getting something that you can be excited about and having something new to talk about. I mean, I think there's a huge value in that as well.
Well, it's always fun to get a package delivered too. And when you mentioned, oh, go to Hobby Lobby, and I'm like, talk about not economical, because you are going to come out with a lot more stuff than just a activity.
Right.
You know, you're going to come out with pillows and, you know, all kinds of stuff.
Monogram stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah. You might as well go to Target and, you know, just start there, because you're going to spend more than what you think you're going to do. And then you're going to get there and go, oh, this looks cool. Oh, this looks cool. Oh, this could, but you don't really know if it's going to work.
We're surprised. We have to be, we can't get too tied to the initial activities that we choose for the box, because they don't all work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There was, for the August box, we did summer vacation was the theme. Mm-hmm. And one of the activities that I found and was very excited about was this roller coaster. And, you know, we had a good plan. We took it to the house. We tried it like several different ways. It was a huge flop. So you have to just be like, all right, well, we can table that for now and try it again, you know, try another version of it later. But
and we would tell people, let us waste our time and money on the flops and make sure that you get the really good stuff.
The other thing is that everything, you know, I don't want people to think that everything's a craft, because we typically have really one craft thing there, because we want it to be something that multiple groups are interested in, not just certain people. So
yeah, and I think, you know, when we're talking about Teepa Snow again, she talks about 4 areas of activity that we all have in our lives now, and they are purposeful activities, which is our jobs, or, you know, the things that we do that we get meaning from, leisure activities, and then self-care and restorative, like rest and relaxation. And when we're in care partner mode, we really tend to only focus on self-care and rest. You know, they're not sleeping. I got to get them to sleep. And,
or
you know,
we can't get them in the shower.
Exactly.
Or, you know.
And so our take is that if we can fill people's cup by giving them some opportunities for purpose and leisure, that they may have a better time flowing into those more challenging activities. They may be a lot more cognitively stimulated, so they sleep better at night. And so our hope is that people will really, because we know that caregivers are overwhelmed. Like
whether they're at home or in a facility.
Yeah, I mean, it is overwhelming. And so to have something that can bring a smile to yours and your loved one's face, to even if their activities, you know, they're not going to remember the activities. But for those of us that work with people living with dementia regularly, we know that the feeling that they have after an activity lingers and can really impact their day. So if we're doing something like this several times a week, they're going to have, you know, not only does the person living with dementia have a better quality of life, so do the care partners, because they, you know, we just hear so much. What do I do? What do I do with them? One of the things that's really important that Michaela sort of started to hint at is, just because somebody wouldn't have sat down and done this before doesn't mean they won't now. And so that's really a key, that we have to let go of our own biases and pictures of what that person was and look at them now, and how can I get them engaged in a way that's going to give them purpose now, because those things can be so few and far between. And it's not realistic for them to be able to do the kinds of things that they did in the past. But I use this example a lot, but in our July box, there was a tube, a baton, patriotic baton. And so it's a plastic tube with stoppers that you fill it with pony beads and confetti. And then you use it as a prop for the exercises and the music video. And that activity, the actual making of the baton, is not about the baton. It's about the problem solving that's involved with getting the beads into the baton and the stoppers on the end. And really what, like Michaela had said earlier, what the final product is doesn't matter, but I completed whatever this final product is. That matters.
Yeah.
And it's using fine motor and, problem solving and teamwork, because somebody usually has to hold the tube while the other person's dumping. And
well, and to have that finished product that then can be used with the exercise and the music videos. I mean, it's not just something that they made and, they're going to throw it.
And it's just going to sit there.
Yeah. And, I'm just thinking too, it would be really interesting for families and communities both, because I don't think we do this enough. Just to slow down and take a picture of somebody with their completed project with a smile on their face, and then send that out to other family members. If you're a community, send it out to their family, just to show, just to have those moments. We just don't capture them. I mean, people are so busy, or people are like, okay, we're going to do this right now, and we've got 20 minutes to do it. Right. And then it's a task and it's a time crunch and no one's having any fun at all.
Exactly.
That's got to go out the window.
It's just checking the box. And
yeah. You're shooting yourself in the foot if that's the attitude you're going to go in, looking at this as another task. And I think we really have to, stop and look at, are they safe? Are they happy? Are they pain-free? And this is a way we can accommodate that. And just like the saying goes, when mama's happy, the whole family's happy. Same thing with somebody with dementia, when they're engaged. And it's hard as care partners to let go and breathe and just take that in, because we're always thinking of the next thing we have to do. But this is a nice way to teach care partners to be in the moment, to slow down. You have a right to enjoy this too.
Right. It's an opportunity for quality time.
Yeah. If this is your job as an employee or a family member, you have the right to enjoy this engagement. And I think sometimes that gets overlooked. I know when I was first, caring for my mom, I was so task oriented, and I felt good checking it off my list, boom, 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 boom.
Right.
But I thought, and there's my poor mom going, well, what was that all about? Because
what does that mean to her?
Yeah, nothing. Yeah, and I can look back now and go, well, I deflated that balloon really quickly, and so I think it's a good opportunity to get people in creating those moments of joy and really appreciating, even if it's quiet time, that can be peaceful and calm. And when the person with dementia is peaceful and calm, you can breathe a sigh of relief and you can be peaceful and calm and not feel so rushed either. And
absolutely.
And really getting back to that relationship, based care. Mandy, I wanted to ask about, for someone living with dementia, what type of benefits do you see for them? We've touched on it a bit, but I'd like to make sure that we summarize that well too.
I would say, well, I think you brought it up too. Just that I think so much we do focus on checking things off for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so thinking about what is going to benefit my loved one or the people that are living in my community. And I think, it's interesting. We were at a conference recently and neuroplasticity was the word of the day. And I'm not a scientist and I don't have scientific research, they're working on the research, right, around neuroplasticity and how it impacts people with dementia. But if we have this concept that when we try new things, we are building new pathways in the brain, that if you think about a box of connectivities is 8 new things for somebody to try. And so I think we are not only opening doors to seeing what they enjoy now as the person they are now, but also giving them the opportunity. I mean, I don't want to make light of how hard caregiving is, but I think people, and I think caregivers carry around a lot of guilt because their loved ones watch TV a lot. And so these are things that you can do instead that are ready to go, that are done, and that can help them maintain skills, that can help. They're not just sitting in a chair passively deteriorating. And even if they're passive, more passively engaging, we can provide cognitive stimulation and sensory stimulation that helps them have some kind of substance to their day. So I think that really there are a lot of benefits for both the person living with dementia as well as care partners.
I agree. Oh, go ahead, Michaela.
Add on that, I see, there's a lot of talk about behaviors. Oh, this resident's having this behavior or
acting out.
Yes. Yeah. So, and to me, we look at that as an unmet need. And a lot of times they can't tell us what that need is. And so, sundowning is another thing that happens. And so utilizing these tools to get them engaged in something meaningful, to have those good feelings and those good connections before that happens, being proactive. That's what I try to do, is how do we be proactive instead of reactive? And I just think this is another tool in your toolkit that you can use to really have positive results from that, rather than just saying, oh, well, they have this behavior, or, rather than us addressing it.
Right. Well, and I think, the Eden Alternative talks about the 3 plagues of the elderly: loneliness, helplessness, and boredom. And I think you've got loneliness and helplessness. Loneliness, and really all 3 of them are addressed with every connectivity's activity. And so a lot of times when we are having more of those negative impacts of dementia, it's a result of I'm craving connection, or I'm craving purpose, or I have an unmet need. I'm bored. A lot of people, kids tend to, I think it's back to school time. I think a lot of parents are really happy their kids are going back to school.
I'm one of those.
Yes. So I think, those are just all important things to consider.
Yeah, I would agree. There's so many benefits, and I love the benefit too of educating the care partners of why these types of activities are important. Like you said, it's not the end product, it's the process, it's the relationship, it's the engagement, it's the feeling purposeful and hitting those therapeutic markers. Just amazing. Now, one thing that you had brought up that in the videos was also exercise. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Well, yes, we actually just today, I told you we were flexible and, we're shifting the exercise plan into more of a home exercise plan like you would get when you go for therapy. So it will look more like our instructions. And so every month there will be a home exercise plan. So that one of the things we're finding is it's kind of hard to put the exercise video up on a big screen. And so this way you can kind of even do pieces of it. You can do a few exercises in the morning, a few exercises midday, and break it up, but have an idea of what each exercise is, what they do, what they're maintaining. And most of those things are really looking at, one of the things that happens in our Prairie Elder Care homes is the residents love to watch the really upbeat aerobics videos. Whether or not they are participating, they enjoy watching them. But those have a different value. Those are more like, let's get our blood pumping, let's have a little excitement. These exercises are more based on developing good breathing techniques, building our core strength, reaching over, across the body to help with balance. And so it's a little bit more purposeful. And I think having that exercise plan will help bring out some more of that purpose.
Wonderful.
No? Okay.
She covered it.
Michaela,
The bottom line with exercise is movement, movement is better than not moving. And so we just encourage that through some of our activities that we do, and then also through the exercise plan. Wonderful.
Well, Michaela, I wanted to ask, why do you think you two are the right people, behind this whole project? Why you two? Because I really do think what you're doing is very different from most activity kits out there.
Yeah. So I think that, I think it all comes down to the fact that we are in the trenches, and that we have been, working side by side with the people living with dementia and with the care partners. And so I just feel like Prairie Elder Care has been kind of prepared us for this path that has led us here. And I think we always, Mandy's background is education, and my background is senior living and nursing. And it just, from the beginning of Prairie Elder Care, it kind of was it just made sense. And so this is just the next extension of that.
We've looked for really the last couple of years. The last time we were on with you, Lori, was going over our book called Now Is Found, that focuses on giving that community connection and control. And we have been toying with, how do we bring some of the magic that happens at Prairie Elder Care to people at home, to people in other communities. And Connectivities is really it. We just really feel like it is
that's what's special about Prairie Elder Care.
Yeah, is that connection. Mm-hmm. And to be able to take that on a larger scale and impact more people is just kind of fills our cup for sure.
Very cool. Well, I can't picture two more dedicated people. It comes from, this all started, all of your work from the heart, of family. You really get this. You've moved into your own communities and lived and breathed. You work the shifts. You're not just up here talking down. You are part of it. I love that you're fluid in terms of, gosh, this seemed like a good idea, but looks like we got to shelf this one for right now, and we'll tweak that later. And we'll, that honesty and that authentic voice to me is really important. That says I can trust you. You get it, and you want to give me a product that I'm going to be able to use, and that's going to be meaningful. And so again, for that, I just thank you guys for launching this. I'm so excited to see where you go with this, because I do think it is really something very, very special. Is there anything that we didn't cover that we should, other than contact information?
I just think my sort of parting thought is, for families, especially with a loved one who's been diagnosed with dementia, we can't determine the path. We can't change at this point the path of this disease, but we can change what we do along the way. Mm-hmm. And so even though these are not memories that your loved one will keep, these can create some of the last memories that you have of your loved one. And what a special gift to give to both of you.
Exactly. Well, and like you said, what a great gift idea. People are always wondering, for families and loved ones, what can I get them to help?
We have some a couple of new products that will be launched on Monday that are a little bit smaller, a mini box and a sensory kit. So we're excited. That'll allow people a chance to kind of try it, and if they're overwhelmed by 8 activities, or just to give it a try.
So audience, if you are half as excited as I am about this, you have to try it, and you have to spread the word. Don't let this be something quiet that you know about. Too many people need this. And I really, really do think that you are going to love the product as much as I do. So you can go to their website, which is connectivities.us, connectivities.us. You can also find them on Facebook and LinkedIn at Connectivities, or they are on TikTok. They are on Instagram and Twitter as Connectivities Box. And then, of course, feel free to check out their book, Now Is Found, which you can find on their website, prairieeldercare.com. So again, ladies, thank you so much for your time, and I wish you nothing but the best in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, podcast listener. If you're caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's or dementia, you'll want to check out Alz Authors, the global community of authors writing about Alzheimer's and dementia from personal experience. We have the most comprehensive collection of hundreds of carefully vetted books and blogs covering all types of dementia and caring situations. Our authors' personal stories and painfully learned lessons can help you on your own journey. We also offer a fabulous podcast called Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia, which you can find on any of your podcast platforms. Remember, you are not alone. One can sing a lonely song, but we chose to form a choir and create harmony. Find us at alzauthors.com.
Hey everybody, Jared Sebestier, host of Retire Repurposed. This podcast is dedicated to help people transition into fulfilling and purposeful retirements. Retirement is a big life change. In fact, the 2 most dangerous years of a person's life are the year they were born and the year they retire. Few people can just flip the switch from working a career 30 or 40 plus years, retiring on Friday without methodical steps to living what we call a repurposed retirement. To listen now, search Retire Repurposed on your favorite podcast platform, Senior Resource, or Life Audio.